Welcome to my new series. This is RuneScape how it's intended to be played. It is a new main account after I've been playing Iron Man for a pretty long amount of time. In the first episode, we just got off of Tutorial Island, and here I am at the top of Lumbridge Castle, just kind of going over some of the initial changes to the combat system. We're inspecting the melee setup. I'm intending to go some sort of magic melee build. I want to kind of experience the game, run around, and just enjoy this aspect. We're going down to the catacombs and onto our adventure. We're going to do a little bit of questing. We're going to slay some animals. We're really just taking in the sights, enjoying the game, trying to understand how a new player experience really is. Alright, here we are finishing up the quest for the Blood Pact here. We get some experience and attack, strength, defense, and magic. That's going to be very useful for us. Just a quick little boost to those combat abilities and skills. We then start the Restless Ghost by talking to Father Ernie in the Lumbridge Church. This is just going to give us some early game prayer experience that we can do. It's relatively quick. We bring the skull back to the ghost. Skip through the quest. Here we go. Boom. Lots of experience. This is just going to get us to, I believe, level 4 prayer. This is a decent start. Oh, level 9 prayer. This is going to be a decent start for the game. We begin also Slayer by talking to Jacqueline. She'll give us something to actually go kill. She then assigns us some stuff to go kill in the catacombs, and here I am enabling the Slayer counter in the settings menu. Slayer counter will let us track our kills. You can see that there. It should be in the upper right when it shows up next to the map. We're going to go down to the catacombs and kill some spiders for this task. So one of the things throughout this video is this is a first attempt for me at making a compilation. This was done in kind of the first day, so there's going to be a lot of skips and cuts, and this first week and the videos that follow are also going to be a bit different overall. So I'm still trying to figure out my style for how I want to do this, but I think in times like this where I'm doing an accelerated kill cam, I'll probably add in some commentary like this. If anyone can let me know when they're watching it if something is standing out or they would think would be better off different, let me know. I should be able to read all these comments. Going forward, this is all actually video content from the first day. Later on, I start breaking things into easier to manage clips for myself when I'm editing. So this first video is literally a compilation of everything that I'm doing in the first day. It's roughly about 6 to 8 hours total of time spent playing the first day. Then later on, I'll have a bit more complex commentary as well as better planned out videos. Right now, I think this is, for me, the easiest way. Just start getting something out there for the sake of consistency. Alrighty, and here we're finishing our task. We're going to be then leaving the catacombs, do a little bit of a skip here, go right to our Draenor Lodestone. We get this prompt about the necromancy tutorial, so we're going to go ahead and start that, and that will give us just a quick unlock for both necromancy and the city of Alrighty, so here we're beginning our quest for necromancy. we get introduced a little bit to a couple different characters here. Raziel starts saying, "Oh, hi, I'm gonna get you." Death is introduced to us as somebody that is requesting our help, and then he's going to bring us into the city of During that time, they give us an introduction to rituals, necromancy combat, as well as some hot spots around the area of the city of We complete the quest, we then move on to druidic ritual. That one gets us our level 3 herblore, which will be useful for the rest of the account. Kind of jumped around a little bit, but we get that now. Then we run over to the bank, deposit all of our items, and then we're going to head over to Brill. Brill's daughter, she brings us to Demonheim. Demonheim is where the dungeoneering tutorial is, but we're really only here for the Ring of Kinship, which we get from the dungeoneering tutor. That's a nice quick teleport right to a bank. This becomes a bit useless once we unlock the archaeology tutorial. After that, we're running over to Edgeville to activate the Edgeville lodestone, with the goal of actually going down to Barbarian Village to complete the Stronghold of Security. In here, there's a bunch of different monsters, as well as money to be found. So each level we're going to run through, go to the ending room, and descend downwards. And here again, we have some of this fun empty space that I'm trying to fill to just make sure that the video continues on a normal path. So right now, up till this point, I've just been jumping around the map. We are going through, this money is initially planned to be used for a Ring of Wealth, but it turns out they're a little bit more expensive later on, so we figure that out later. We will be visiting back the Stronghold of Security to do Slayer, as well as get the Skull Scepter later on. But for right now, we're just kind of completing this, and just a normal unlock that all accounts should be doing. And we're coming to the end of the last floor here, where we're going to get our choice of the fighting or the colored boots. We get both of them, and that is the Stronghold of Security completed. We then make our way after the Stronghold of Security to the Grand Exchange. In order to use the Grand Exchange, you first have to go through a tutorial. You can just go through a really quick tutorial that you could just spacebar through. This just gives us some basic knowledge about the system. There will be an update to the GE later on. Now we went back down by Draenor. There's a cabbage field. Those cabbages are money. If you want some early game money, you go there, you're going to pick an inventory of them. You could sell them pretty well. I sold a bunch for 1k each. However, they sold for a lot more. If you notice here, they sold, I think, around like 1.3, 1.2k. We went back down to Lumbridge, where we got ourselves another Slayer task, killing 27 cows. During the time that we're killing cows, I actually find that we can use the Keen Blade. Now, this is something that I honestly forgot even existed, so I used the wiki to look it up. I found out that it was something you could get from a guy by Port Sarim as part of the Pathfinder equipment. The Keen Blade, the Pathfinder gear is all pretty decent, like early game gear. You can also go through and do an Ashdale tutorial as well. I just used the gear to come back and kill more cows, basically. We get another task of some goblins, again, from Jacqueline. We can use the gear still, and right now I'm just running through, getting those levels, and kind of letting the new combat system lead the way. Now here's a big jump. We skipped over to Ardoin. I used the Edgeville lever trick, where you're able to go to Edgeville. There's a lever south of Vonica where you can teleport right to Ardoin, and then you can run up, unlock the lodestone. Then I made my way south to Yanil. This is all because of this quest. I'm trying to do the Fight Arena quest. The reason for the Fight Arena quest, you get a ton of combat XP and a bit of thieving. Now, this is done usually at a very low level in old school RuneScape. About a year ago, almost to the day, Jagex had done another combat update which removed splashing from the game. Basically changing your damage percentage to be the value that's important here. So if you see I'm killing this Khazard Ogre at 22%, that means I'm only 22% damage effective against this Ogre. It's really interesting that in addition to that change, they buffed the total hit points of these enemies. Now, it doesn't look like too many at this point, but the next few, you'll actually see the impact of that. They actually doubled it for the enemies in this quest in particular. It's something I really don't agree with, because especially as we are seeing now, you want this as an early game quest, but it takes forever to do this. Now, this kill specifically isn't sped up, but in the next couple clips, you'll be seeing I'm doing it at 4 times speed. I had basically about a 40-minute quest, and about 35 minutes of that was just sitting and AFKing an enemy. So here we go on this first creature that we're killing, the Khazard Scorpion. It's not too bad. We're a bit lower percent damage than we were on the Ogre. That is mostly because at the time I'm thinking it's just because it has a crush weakness, and that's the reason why we're at 17%. Now comes Bouncer. Bouncer doesn't have a weakness. It just has a general even defense across the board for everything. This is the one that starts giving me some questions. I'm going to be switching to actual commentary I was recording at the time here. Just checking in here, we're about halfway through Bouncer. I did do a reset, I think, of his despawn timer, if there is one. I basically just let it hit me once, and then ran to this other side here. I still don't know if I can kill General Khazard or not. And so here at this point, I end up going back into our sped up gameplay. It doesn't take too long, but we can go through some of the additional goals and plans of the account here. So with this account, the goal is to play without microtransactions, any sort of edge or advantage I get from any friends or my other accounts as well. So what does that entail? That basically means that if I can't get it from the GE or from a player that I don't know, I'm not going to be able to attain it, essentially, unless I get it myself. So a lot of the gameplay early game actually ends up being a solo gameplay. In addition to that, certain low-level items are kind of hard to get on the Grand Exchange. Things like steel armor, or iron armor, or mithril or adamant. You wouldn't think it, but it is, and that's purely because when those equipments are dropped, it's typically done instead as salvage, and salvage has so far been the biggest pain point of the early game that I've seen. Here we are finishing killing Bouncer. This is gonna bring us to the next stage of this quest. So far, it was a pretty long period of time, and I'm getting myself set up, and I'm going to switch over to the live commentary that I had when trying to safe spot General Khazard here. Alright, can I just run away? What's the hit chance? 12? Honestly, let's try it. Wait. Let's go around. Go right here. Okay, it just got a little wonky with his pathing. I'm at 12, but I mean, we saw the last one. So we're starting this. We'll see. We'll see how long this takes and if he despawns. I don't think so, because he's like a persistent enemy. I'm gonna say he works. We'll see. I'm gonna record this, and we'll see. I'm gonna reset a new recording. So here I am doing this safe spot. Now, one of the things about General Khazard that you may not know is, in addition to this 12,000 first phase, you notice how I say first phase, he has a second phase. Crazy, right? So there's 24,000 hit points to get through, and I'm doing 22 to 30 at a time. It's absolutely absurd. I really think this quest needs to be reworked if they want it to be a low-level starter quest. Many old school players do this with Airstrike, and they get their levels as they're training to Water Strike, Earth Strike, and it goes even more than that. So I really think that the hit chances on all of these should be probably average around like 30 to 40 rather than these 20 to 10%, I'll say. Back to the previous topic about salvage. Salvage was created initially so that the equipment that is being dropped wouldn't conflate with the economy of the mining and smithing rework. That did have a side effect of then having issues with early game combat, not having gear that is dropped. Now, Jagex did try and fix that a little bit by going through and adding some low-level equipment back to enemies. It is not nearly enough. I can say with certainty that I'm still getting salvage on most of the creatures that I'm killing. For Slayer, I mean, I'm 16 Slayer, and later on through the series, I get even more. And up to 35 Slayer, all the equipment that you would expect to get is dropped as salvage. It's a big pain, and I think that so far that has been my most annoying pain point on the series. There is also the matter of the Grand Exchange. Now, the Grand Exchange itself is going to be fixed sometime this year. Jagex has already announced that they want better visibility to what's being traded, how it's being traded, how many. Now, what that really means is that the equipment, whenever I'm selling it or buying it, there's no way to see an actively traded price. And that is the biggest thing I think Jagex will be able to give us, is knowing what items are trading at, what items are selling at, and the volume, like an actual updated volume of what they're being sold and traded at. So here we are killing General Khazard in its second phase. Again, still 12%. We're doing pretty good. I think we are about 10 minutes in at this point for the kill. Yeah, so we started this one 10 minutes into the kill, if you notice in the chat log. I just think that this whole thing, if this is the experience that we're getting after the combat overhaul, this needs a little support from Jagex, just a little bit, you know. I want to be seeing maybe 100 or 200 damage being done. I'm aware that this is a mine spike. It's a low-level combat weapon, but this is a quest meant to get us out of those early levels. The other thing is, as I was going around and killing goblins and cows and frogs and spiders, all these different things, I began to really realize it was difficult to, well, one, get the gear, and two, it was kind of easy and boring. And I wanted to get to some harder enemies. I didn't feel that those low level enemies were actually rewarding me the way I either remember them being when I was much younger, or I just don't. I think maybe we're at a time where we should have harder to kill enemies earlier on that give us really good chunks of experience. Maybe fewer cows can drop 2 or 3 cowhide, and give you the same amount of experience as killing that many, but you have to fight the cow for longer. On the other hand, things like chickens were really fun in a weird way. They were fun because their drops were actually valuable, and it had meaningful impact to the account progression by me actually killing those chickens. Talking about meaningful impact, here we are. So we started this quest pretty low in Magic. We've basically gained about 7 additional levels from this quest. We're going to go through and be able to finish it, and I want to pay close attention to my attack and my thieving levels. This quest gives you a really big chunk of experience for both thieving and attack. That boosts me up to 30 and 14. That 30 attack allows you to get right to Mithril, and that's where I'm going to start doing a lot better and be able to get better weapons and again have that impact of killing enemies. We then move on to doing Monk's Friend, still in the area. We were able to grab a jug from the Port Khazard store and fill it up with water nearby. We then went through and did the Tree Gnome Village quest line. Did that one, found the bits and pieces. The Tree Gnome Village was nice. Another big attack buff that brought us up to 36. And another quest that we're getting out of the way, another early game quest, much easier to do, is Witch's House. Now, when I did this initially, I did die. The experiments were very, very strong, but Beltfish is a very cheap resource in food, so I was able to buy a bunch from the Grand Exchange and bring that with me this time through. The weakness on these is water spells, and I probably should have brought them to have a better accuracy. But one of the other combat changes we did have is the fact that food no longer takes 10% adrenaline, it's only 3%. So we're actually able to still do damage in combat. Which, if you notice here, I go through that inventory of Beltfish pretty quickly. But we're still able to maintain our health and kill the Witch's Experiment. We bring back the ball and get a good chunk of Constitution hit points. That brings us up to 27. We then get ourselves another Slayer task, and that's going to be zombies. On the way, I purchase a house from an estate agent for 1,000 coins. The zombies I'm choosing to kill are fetid zombies. They are by the site of the future fort for Inthery. I'm trying to do that because I'm curious to see how much experience they're going to give us, as well as they have some pretty decent drops that are valuable for accounts. When you're a normal account, a non-Iron Man, basically that's what you want to be looking at. If I can kill something that gives even a little bit worth of gold, I would want to try doing that one over something that's not as good. here I am thinking, oh man, these are going to hit me a lot. And I notice that they get stuck on this tree stump. The rat really doesn't do much damage to me. And so I just go through killing the fetid zombie, air spells selected. I have 38% hit chance. This is easily doable, and this is what I was talking about in the comparison between this and General Khazard, where you have a 38% hit chance on this, and it feels better. It doesn't feel great. Clearly, you're using a weak weapon against these enemies, but you're making progress, and it just feels a bit better in comparison, and that's kind of how I was drawing it. You also see the steel salvage there. That could have been something like steel plate legs or steel boots or helmet or something. And that would have been really cool to get as a drop from these guys. Instead, we're getting the salvage, and it's just entirely useless. Not only that, its only purpose is to disassemble or sell later on. And it's just not worth it. So we finished that task and went and killed some bears. The bears were actually pretty interesting. The bear meat is another source of money, similar to the chickens. These guys I was using water spells to kill later on, not in this clip here. But the bears gave me some really good starter cash, so I was able to go through, clear these guys out. Bear meat sells because raw meat is used in the player-owned farms, and so you can only buy so much from shops, otherwise you have to get it from killing creatures. And it's kind of tedious, it's difficult to bank, it's difficult to get them in large quantities, and you need 1,000 per pen on the Anachronia farm in some instances. And players just want that. So I make sure to pick up all those raw bear meats, and I will be planning to sell those later on. We get ourselves that hobgoblin task, and that's actually the last thing I'm really doing before I finish off the episode here. And so this is kind of the idea of the account. I haven't done too much progress. This is, again, progress only from a single day. Really about 6 hours after I got home from work on the first day. There isn't too much depth of gameplay yet. I have a bunch more days from this week that are probably going to be done similar to this. This is also the first time I'm doing this large scale editing, and I say large scale, I have about 90 gigs and 9 hours of gameplay that I've recorded, and it got more into clips as I learned over the next couple days, and I think it's going to be easier to splice the clips together rather than cut up large chunks of dead air time. In addition to that, I have some really cool goals for the account. Once I get up to bossing, once the fort is built, once some Slayer is built, I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of progress this in a different way, where I'm able to buy good gear as I go and explore some money makers that I was never really able to do when I was playing Iron Man. In addition, I'm trying to learn the new combat system on a low-level account, so I learn the abilities as I go up. I think that's the best way for me to learn and actually truly understand this. So thank you for coming along the journey again. I think this is going to be a really fun exploration this year into what I can do, see what transpires. I'm really looking forward to Havenheith. I'm really looking forward to messing around between this account and some of the others, leagues, all sorts of different things. So I hope you join me. I hope this is good. If it's not, let me know and I'll do what I can to change it. But this is to make me happy and have fun with the game that I love.